Hi, today we're going to do leeks in this video. I'm doing two kinds this year. One is the Stamford leek and the other is the Musselburgh leek. I tend to pot them in two different ways. One is I use one of my trays similar to the way I do spring onions. It has 15 pods in it, and each one I'll probably just plant 3 or 4 seeds in each, maybe nearly in the corners, just try and give them enough space, and then when they've grown to a certain height I'll just take the pod out, just split them slightly and then plant them individually. I'll also have a go at doing a few in just pots, so I'll probably do maybe just 2 or 3 in a pot. Again, I'll plant the seeds and fill it up with some of my soil mixture. And today I'm actually going to be doing the Musselburgh ones. So just get the packet out of the way. I've got the seeds out already. You see the just little black seeds, very much like sort of poppy seeds. What I do is fairly similar to the way that I do my spring onions. I plant them in a tray. With the spring onions I tend to just sprinkle them in, but because I'm going to have to split these apart as I plant them, I tend to try and do maybe 4 to a pot. And then obviously when you come to split them up, you've got to be quite careful as you split them up, because you don't just want to rip the roots off them. So I also tend to use a pair of tweezers for these. I just find it easy to pick up and make sure that I've really put one in. So what I've done already in each of these sort of pods is I've just put 4 holes in, roughly in the corners. And what I'll actually do is pop another one in there. I'm not so sure that I've got that one in. So all I'll do is I will carry on going through these to put 4 in each sort of pod, and then I'll come back to you at the end. Well, there we go, I've just finished that. It took a while because I used the tweezers just to try and make sure I put the seeds in individually into the hole. So you can probably just make out that in each of these pods there's 4 holes, and I put a seed in each. Occasionally I might have got an extra seed in there if I'm not sure whether it's gone in the hole properly. It doesn't matter too much. The reason I do it this way is I want to grow as many as I can. I really like leeks. I like eating them with my meals, and I also like to make a lot of soups as well. So what I'll also do later on in the summer, I'll get more leeks going again and try a second batch of leeks as some of the veg patch comes free. I'll put some more in, which means sort of November, December, I've got more leeks coming up. They're not very big, they're between spring onion and small leek size, but it means I've got plenty of leeks in for putting in soups. So all I'll do now is just top all of these off, and using my sort of soil with the eggshells and tea leaves and banana peel. I do talk in one of my other videos called Soil. I do talk a little bit about what I put into my soil and how I deal with the soil in my veg patch. So check that out just to see what's in there. Nothing too spectacular here, just topping them, each of them off with some more soil. I'll give them a decent water and they'll be in the greenhouse before the end of the day. There we go, that's the leeks. What to do, so obviously with 4 in there, that's 60 on the go there. Just remember that when they start to grow and you decide you're ready to plant them out, just be quite careful as you take them apart, because you want to try and keep, the roots will be intertwined, but if you do pull them apart very carefully, you will actually be able to separate the roots. Just be careful, otherwise it's very easy just to pull the roots off and you've lost the leek really. So just take them apart quite carefully before you transplant them out into the ground. Hi, today I'm just going to demonstrate how I will plant my leeks out later in the season. It's not time to plant them out yet, but in case you're ahead of my videos, I want to show you what I do, and then I'll update these videos as I go along actually planting them this year. So I plant them in a raised bed. It's quite full at the moment, but by the time I actually come to plant out, I'll have taken 6 to 12 inches off the top of the raised bed, and I'll have put that soil into my troughs and tubs. So first thing, try and make sure you're doing a straight line as you're planting, either just using a garden stake. You can buy sort of garden rulers, most sort of garden shops and things like that. I actually tend to use them. I've got a plastic spirit level which has measures on it. The tool I use for this is, because I've split them up from maybe a plant pot or a pod, the soil and the leaves and the roots and everything isn't massive, so I don't need to do a massive hole for them. So I tend to use this, and then what I'll do across a metre like this, I'll probably actually do about 10 to 15 centimetres apart. I just pushed it in probably about an inch and a half or so. Depends on what I'm actually planting in and how big the leeks are already. And you see, it's taken a core of soil out. I'll then normally just put just a little sprinkling of maybe some tea leaves and tea bags and things just in the bottom of the hole, like I do with most. Although, as you'll know, I've already had the soil that seedlings have been growing and has some of those things in. And it's about just trying to make sure, for me, it's just having some stuff around the roots that during the whole of the summer now is hopefully going to slowly put nutrients in around it. For demonstration purposes here, I'm actually using a spring onion that I've just nicked out of the fridge. And all I simply do when I come to plant them, just pop them into the hole and then cover them up with soil. Obviously, it's going to be quite a lot smaller than this. I'll be planting them a lot smaller than this spring onion, but it's just to give you an example. So that's all I do, and it's normally probably about 10 to a row. They work really well for me. Last year I did a first batch, as I've mentioned already in the video, first batch which were really sort of eating ones, and you know, they were coming out real proper thick leeks like that, sort of what you would expect to be buying in the supermarket. And then a second batch which were probably only just a bit bigger really than these spring onions. That was purely just for soups and things, so sort of during November and December I pulled those up finally and made soups out of them. Another thing just to bear in mind as you're growing your leeks is you'll see how with the spring onions as well, you've got your leaves like this. You just be careful when you're spreading the soil around, because where the leaves are growing out, you don't really want to get muck into those, because ultimately your leek will carry on growing and ultimately you'll have soil sort of in your leek. It doesn't sort of spoil it completely, but it does mean that when you come to eat your leeks, if you've got soil into the sort of these little leaf grooves as it's been growing, it just means your leeks as you eat them could just be a little bit on the gritty side. They'll still be alright, not going to kill you or anything, but it's just a more pleasant experience if you haven't got the soil in there. So I'll be popping those in. I'm probably still about a month off putting my leeks into the ground, but that's what I do, and I'll probably be looking to, certainly across my raised bed, I'll probably be looking to do at least 300 leeks, if not more, if you include my second batch. Here's some pictures I took last year in my veg patch, just to give you an idea of what I'm going to be doing this year, and I'll update the video as I go along through the year. So I planted my leeks about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I think they're just about to start to show. I'm not surprised to take a bit longer this year. We've had some cold weeks and the temperature in the greenhouse has even got down to -5 degrees centigrade. You saw that I was planting the seeds this year, about 5 seeds to a pot or a pod in my seed trays. I learned a lesson last year when I put way too many seeds together. This picture's a bit blurred, but each of these pods is about 2 inches by 2 inches and has about 25 to 30 leeks in each, so they took a lot of splitting up before planting out. You'll see that I did have a few that I let grow more than normal before planting them out. These are probably spring onion or scallion size. So they're normally ready to plant out when they're about 6 to 8 inches tall and about the thickness of a pencil. I sometimes plant them out when they're a bit smaller than that. I've seen guidance that says you should plant them out about 6 inches apart, and if you're doing more than one row, the rows should be about a foot apart. When planting out, you should make a hole that's 4 to 6 inches deep and put in the leeks. You'll have seen that I use a tube which is about 1 inch wide to make my holes. Many books say you should only fill the hole with water and not soil. I don't disagree with this, but I tend to fill my holes with soil. That's because I've had trouble with animals pulling the leeks out when I've not filled the holes with soil. In this picture you can see some of my leeks planted out in part of one of my raised bed, and another picture showing them once they'd grown a little bit more. I plant them much closer than recommended, about 3 to 4 inches apart, but it works okay for me and it means I can grow more. So you need to remember to earth up your leeks carefully as they grow, pulling the soil up around each leek. Just being careful not to get the soil too high that it touches the base of the leaves and gets soil into the leek itself. So make sure you keep them well watered, at least through the summer, and keep on top of your weeding. So when it comes to harvesting, be careful that as you harvest your leek, don't just pull them out. I normally get a garden fork underneath them to make sure they come up complete with the roots rather than snapping off. Here's a few pictures of my harvests from last year. I don't pick everything in one go. For about 6 to 8 weeks, I generally just harvest a couple of leeks and some carrots each week as I need them. Anytime from about mid-September onwards. I'm not trying for award-winning big leeks, so it doesn't matter if some of them are a little smaller than I normally have when I start to eat, but as you can see, these look okay.
I then finish harvesting the rest over about 2 or 3 sessions any time after about late October. It's normally okay to leave leeks in the ground over winter until you need them, although I harvest mine by the end of the year. I do leave some in through to January, but these are generally a second batch of much smaller leeks that I use just for soups. I normally don't store my leeks, as I either eat them or give them away or make soups. As I grew so many leeks last year, I was giving them away to family and making soups, so I did decide to have a little fun branding the leeks. And also making some labels for my soups with ingredients and cooking instructions. I hope that's helped. I'll update my videos as I go along this year, so remember to check back and see the progress on this year's crop.